evening and welcome to Take on Tech. My name is Jane Wamboy. As always, you're glad you are with us these and every other Thursday evening right on KBC Channel 1 to just help you better understand the technical sphere in Kenya. And that is what this show is all about, helping positioning you better when it comes to technological advancement that are happening in Kenya and keeping you in the know as always. Now, in today's discussion, we'll be paying particular focus on a new innovation, just looking at the state of new innovation and what goes into the journey. And we have some fantastic innovators with us in studio, just help us better understand from their personal experiences what they had to go through in the journey to try and bring these innovations to life and what it entails to just try and help the situation better for future innovators when they come to join this journey to find a better environment that is more conducive, that will help propel Kenya when it comes to matters to do with technology and help us grow as a whole. And to help me with this discussion, we have three gents in studio today. I'll start with my extreme left. He is Nahashon Wawero, who is the co-director at Marsha Arts. Karibu sana, Nahashon.
Thank you.
At the center, we have Barack Otieno, who is an internet infrastructure specialist working with Kictonet. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
All right, and to my immediate left, we have Godwin Simba, who is the managing director at Octagon Pension Services. Karibu sana.
Thank you for having me.
I'm glad you are with me this evening. And remember, you can be part of this discussion using the hashtag TakeOnTech. That is TakeOnTech. Take on Tech at KBC Television is our official station handle. Tag me as well on your questions, comments, or clarifications that you may be needing. My handle is @JaneWamboy across all social media platforms. Now, we want to quickly just look at the state of new innovations here in Kenya, and looking at the technical sphere as specifically, and just looking at some stats. Let me just lay it out for you. This is a research that was done among 127 countries, and Kenya was ranked 5th in Africa and first in East Africa when it comes to the Global Innovation Index in terms of being at the forefront. And of course, most of these new innovations were what contributed to this ranking, and 50% of the capital that was made in the technical sphere was from these innovative apps that are coming into place, and a majority of this happened in Kenya, where it was heavily invested in Kenya. Number 2 is South Africa, and number 3 is Nigeria. So that clearly shows you we are at the forefront when it comes to technological advancement in Kenya. But on the flip side here, another research say that could we are we biting more than we can as a nation, because they are terming at our development stage where we are isn't as encouraging in terms of innovation and technological advancement. What are your thoughts when it comes to this specifically? Let me start with you, Godwin. We are being ranked at such a high level, but then again, there are doubts that are we biting more than we can chew as a nation?
Thank you. When you look at the current state we are in as a nation, you would agree that we actually far ahead in terms of technology. That's the first. That's appreciated actually that we are ranked number 80 in terms of technology in e-commerce in the globe. And when you fast forward to the current state we are in the country, you would perhaps notice that Kenya has actually been moving ahead in terms of innovation, basically because of the environment that we exist in. We have been quite robust, and the factor that has driven that more so is the fact that financial inclusion, for example, in the Kenyan market is quite almost 86%. Mm-hmm. So that has driven a lot of technology, companies coming in to look at solutions, to create efficiency, and also to create convenience with their consumers when it comes to rolling out more products.
Yes.
So you find that in the Kenyan market, though, now the technology is actually moving faster than the regulation. So you find then that in as much as we are not there yet in terms of technology, you also find that the regulator is still trying to catch up in terms of technology.
So in some sense, there could be some truth in that statement.
Yes.
When you look at it deeper.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Let me hear from you, Barack.
Thank you, Jen. I think we are fortunate as a country, and that's why we are even called the Silicon Savannah. And that's because we have a very supportive or enabling legal and regulatory framework, and also a policy framework. Of course, my colleagues might contest my statement.
Yes.
Because they know where the shoe pinches.
Yes.
But I think looking back 2006, when we had the first Kenya ICT policy, it was a forward-thinking policy, and if you, for any Kenyan that is really keen, they'll notice that between 2006 and say 2015 or currently, we had a lot of innovations spanning out. We also have the Kenya ICT Communications Act that is very supportive, ensuring that the sector keeps moving forward, and the Kenyan spirit of people working together. I don't want to call it Harambee, but if you look keenly, you'll find that despite the challenges that have existed, Kenyans have found a way of working together and supporting each other, and we have actually created a fertile ground even for foreign innovators or investors who are willing to come in and take advantage of the fertile ground that is here. Yep.
So when they say we are biting more than we can chew in terms of, technological advancement, is it fair that it should be termed as so?
No, I don't think we are biting more than we can chew. Otherwise, we are underutilizing what we have already. Because as a result of the forward-thinking policy framework that was developed in 2006 and renewed in 2015, of course, we've had a lot of infrastructure developments, like the undersea cables. We have about 4, and we have one, which is called TEAMS, which is actually an indigenous effort. And research shows that we are only using about 1/3 of this capacity. And most of the innovations or developments are concentrated in the cities. We are yet to touch mashinani, as it were. And that's the reason why I'm saying that we are really not scratching the surface yet.
We're only getting started as a nation.
Exactly.
Now let me come to you, Nashwan. You are an innovator. You have been there. You have seen the journey. You have tasted the water. Now, when the international space says that we could be biting more than we can chew, or we are above the level that was predicted for us as a nation, is it even fair to cast that blanket over us as a nation in terms of our technological advancement and where we stand?
I think using the term that we are biting more than we can chew is what you call underestimation. I think you can get it in a positive manner, because you can set a limit and you overdo the limit.
Yes.
I don't think that is biting more than you can chew. I think we can classify Kenya as people who have very good brain. 1, we have very good innovative brains.
Yes.
2, we have problems which push us to innovate. That's the other thing. So, and then the government has provided for us an environment. I think the Kenyan environment, it's very good for the innovators and developers. You don't require so much, and there are a lot of regulations to come up with something. Everything is there for you.
Okay.
The only thing you have to do is to start. Then you'll catch up along the way. And the majority of them succeed. If you look at most of the innovations, some of the best innovations we have in the world, they started in Kenya. Look at M-Pesa. So when you say that we are biting more than we can chew, if you could have checked an example of such an innovation in that time when it started, and the way it is now, I think that is underestimating the capability we have.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, now let me come to you as an innovator. You are in the education side of the divide.
Yes.
So tell us a bit about, what the gap was that necessitated you to come up with this brilliant idea and try and see how you can help the greater population in terms of, efficiency especially. Let's hear a bit about what you are doing.
Being the co-director of Mashat's, my other director happens to be my wife.
All right.
And we both work in the academic sector. We have a magazine for kids, and we have to look for schools at that time. So when looking for school, we realized that parents also look for schools.
So it came as a necessity that you were going through.
Exactly. That's the point. And that's what I've started by saying, that a problem creates a solution. And that's what brings technology in. So when looking for schools, we realized that we can solve these problems for parents. How do we go about it? This is the problem. Then let's come up with an app for locating these schools wherever they are. So now we don't have to move from place to place looking for schools. And
what are some of the problems that specifically you had to go through to realize we need to have a better solution in terms of technology to help alleviate this problem?
One, I can say that technology illiteracy, I think we can use such a word, because most of the people, especially in the mashinani, are not very aware of the technologies we have or what you want to use. So when you want to tell somebody that I want to put this activity or this process into this phone. I want to put this process into this machine. You won't be doing this. Let's do this. Very many people look at it from the security perspective. Maybe, what about the security of my information? Maybe, are you another con man? Or is it another con game? Okay. Is it another pyramid project? Am I ready to lose my money in this? Am I ready to? So I think the biggest problem here is the risk. Most people don't want to risk. When other technologies came to Kenya, we rushed very fast to risk into them. But when you come to local technologies, and then there is the belief. Then there is the belief, because this is Kenyan. Kenya, you are telling me that you want to do this, my friend, and we know what the rest of the people have done to us, so it becomes, there is that risk and that fear.
All right.
So that's one, and then you have the financial aspect of it.
All right, we'll be getting deeper into some of the challenges that, innovators get to go through on a daily. But let me come to you now, Gordon. You are now on a different sector, and this is how it has to do with pension. And, pension has been, a necessity for most, but, access to it has always been a challenge. For most even don't even know what it is about, and, in terms of accessing it, some think, if you're not in formal employment, you cannot have any form of pension. Now, tell us a bit about, the background that, went into necessitating you to come up with this application that will help the end user at the end of the day.
Yes. Being the managing director for Octagon Pension Services, we are actually regulated by the Retirement Benefits Authority. And one of the key issues that we've been actually as an industry is trying to unlock is the coverage within the industry. Statistics, if you look at the current coverage in the market, is around 20%, meaning 20% of the Kenyan population are covered actually under pension. But most of these are actually those who are in the formal sector.
Yes.
In the informal sector, we do have close to 13 million people in the informal sector, out of which we only have 200,000 currently covered under the pensions industry in terms of people who save for retirement. So one of the issues that what we are trying to do as a business is to increase coverage. That's one. Making sure that not only we target the people in the formal sector, but also in the informal sector. And one of the key issues that actually we've done more is to leverage on technology to ensure that wherever you are, whether you're employed or not, you can comfortably within your phone apply and start saving for your retirement. And it's also compounded by the fact that in the current state, it's quite a scary picture, because you find that 62% of, actually we have close to 52% in terms of old age poverty. So the current people actually in the old age are actually, in a poor state. So we need now to focus on the youth to ensure that by the time they're coming to their retirement life, they're actually having a comfortable retirement life.
Yes, to try and, save for the future.
Yes.
And, the biggest hassle when it comes for most, having to access these organizations in terms of getting, your pension. But with these new innovations, it helps ease the journey. When you hear of such innovations in terms of services that the common mwananchi needs, we are all going to get to an age where we can't work anymore. We all need to access schools for our children, but the hassle that goes into it is discouraging to some, such that you end up not getting the kind of service you'd like because of the hassle that goes into it. In terms of, encouraging technological innovations, where do we stand as a nation?
Thank you, Jen. I think we need leadership. That's what I can really say. And I'll give a good example. The moment His Excellency the President started engaging wananchi using social media and using the internet, we noticed that a lot of, or rather many public officers went online. It was as simple as that.
Yeah.
They followed suit because the president was on the internet and the citizens were with him on the internet. So you'd find that it would be embarrassing. Sometimes there is an engagement and maybe public officials don't know where it is happening in the cyberspace. And we need the same at mashinani level. We've seen cases like there's this chief in Nakuru, in Njoro area, who was engaging his constituents, or who was engaging citizens in his area using Twitter. He's a celebrated leader. And we need many such examples in the rural areas.
Yeah.
Just to touch on the subject that my colleague here has talked about, inclusion. That's the only way we will achieve inclusion. Because yes, there's an aspect of literacy, but when citizens realize that the shortest route to their leaders is through technology, then they will take to technology. So I think in addition to the policy frameworks that we've developed, in addition to the legal and regulatory frameworks that we've developed, we need very strong leadership on the ground, and that's the only way to bring everybody on board.
Bring everybody on board and be on the
Yes.
same page.
Exactly.
And let's just quickly look at, what an innovator gets to go through in terms of, the hurdles that are there to try and get this new innovation. They're fantastic ideas, but getting them out there still proves to be the challenge. And you had mentioned the first one about, issues to do with security and, awareness, and that boils down actually to awareness now on the end user's part. Do you feel like the greater population of who you are targeting are well aware and, well technologically placed and informed in terms of understanding what this app is all about?
One of the things I do when I talk to maybe schools or school directors about mobile applications, not necessarily us, but even mobile applications. Being a teacher, because I was in that industry as a teacher for more than 6 years, so I know how to handle them. First, we are enlightening them about technology and what you want to do and the advantages it has. So it means that even if that person was somewhere wrong, at least you have raised that person to a level such that he can understand or she can understand what you're talking about in terms of technology. So it doesn't matter the level this person is. It matters with where you start engaging this person at.
All right.
And by doing that, that person rises. And then you see when he rises with other people. So by the end of the day, you realize that as a developer, you not only have to come up with something, but you have to engage the people or your customers such that you can reason with them together. Otherwise, you have a very good innovation, but you don't have anywhere to take it.
Yes.
Because I think that's the biggest problem we have with the majority of the innovators and the youth. Because you have a very good idea, but first share with, make sure you educate these people what you want to do.
All right.
Because they'll receive you.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, let me come to you, Godwin, in terms of end user awareness and how efficient they're able to use these tech advances that are coming up. When you were interacting and doing your public participation, was it an easy journey or it was such a hustle trying to target people, especially now you're dealing with the employed and even trying to target those who are not in formal employment?
Ideally, it all boiled down to the issues of sensitization. That's one. In the beginning, you find that since the mobile penetration rate where in Kenya currently is very high, people have access to mobile phones, people have access to smartphones, and they want to try something new. And I think if you are giving them the right solution at that particular point in time, you may find actually they are attracted to it.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the user, you find that one is the user first, you providing a need to that user. If they find that there's a need for them to use that product, you may find there's ease of them to actually access it. Secondly also is making it user-friendly in the sense that people don't want to have the hassles of getting into the real or either transacting or accessing information.
Struggle.
Yes, you don't have to struggle because already if you're providing a solution that you are connecting the business to the customer, you have actually to reduce the hassle of that person walking into a brick and mortar kind of a setup to be able to get a service. So you ensure that the whole solution is within that. And actually we found that most of our users are actually engaging more, and you find that they even come and give ideas of how best you can even enhance your system to meet their needs.
All right. Now, Barak, when it comes to awareness and sensitization for the greater mass, in terms of helping them understand that this is here to help, it's not another problem. You don't need such a smartphone to be able to access the services that comes, with the touch. When you're just using your mobile phone, you can be able to access these services. In terms of creating awareness and helping educate the public, especially in the mashinani areas, what more do you feel needs to be done towards this end?
I think we need to take advantage of the structures that we have, especially insofar as government is concerned. Because, for example, we have constituency innovation hubs. Very few people know about these constituency innovation hubs.
Across the country.
Yet they are funded from the exchequer. So why aren't we we are complaining about misuse of taxes, but when we are not using these constituency innovation hubs, and we are not making use of our taxes properly. The other issue is empowerment. We focus so much at national level, parliament, but we have our local assemblies where the MCS sit. These are the people that make laws for our local communities, because we all come from one location or the other. And most often you find that we don't believe in goods or services that are provided at local level, and that's why everybody looks to the big cities. So I think we need to empower our structures in mashinani so that there is actually belief that these structures work, and so that we don't, not everyone needs to come to Nairobi to provide a killer app. We need apps in the village,
Yes.
apps that show people direction. Look, Google has come all the way, or these multinational corporations have come all the way, and now they are mapping our villages. Yet we have people down on the ground who have knowledge on all these corners, and these are the same people that could have developed these particular apps at
Yeah.
local level. So I think we need to really consider how we are using our governmental structures and our societal structures so that we can be able to really take advantage of technology at local level.
The resources are readily available within our
Exactly,
reach.
exactly.
All right. And we want to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll now be looking at the whole aspect of financing, which plays a very big role for an investor, which an innovator rather, for that matter. So if you have any questions, keep sending them through using the hashtag #TakeOnTech at KBC Television is our official station handle. My handle is Jane Wamboy, so don't go anywhere. I'll see you after this break.
The Africa Cup of Nations will be live on KBC, Channel 1, and all KBC radio stations. Catch AFCON 2019 only on KBC. Hashtag AFCON Eco KBC.
Four teams. Adrenaline-packed action. Feel the energy. Sweat and tears. For the ultimate prize. The 2019 Africa Cup of Nations, only on KBC Channel 1, the official free-to-air broadcaster of the 2019 tournament.
Welcome back. This is a Take on the Tech, and we just want to continue with the discussion all about new technological innovations here in Kenya. Let me just read a couple of tweets. The first one is by Emmanuel Muo. The hashtag is the Take on Tech. He's saying, in Kenya we have youths with great innovations, but they can't access the money needed for prototypes and other developments. Can you suggest any investors that we can approach to help further this journey? Of course, you did mention the constituency innovation hubs. We'll be getting to more ideas on how you can be able to address that. And Benja says the Kenyan government should provide and create centered institutions to equip the youth with skills and the required information for them to have more ideas and innovate more new stuff in the market. I believe maybe you could address that very briefly.
Thank you, Jen. Those are valid comments that are coming from our viewers, and what I must say is that this is a cultural issue. I think we need to build a culture of celebrating our own. And by that, where we create a scenario where we find local companies that are willing to invest in ideas that have been brought to the fore by local people. When I look at the financing of local innovations, you find that most venture capitalists are not locally based investors, or are not based in the country.
In Kenya, yeah.
And that brings a bit of worry to me, because looking at it from a business perspective, nobody puts their money where there is no gain. And so when these venture capitalists fund local innovations, of course, there is something that they are looking for. And in most cases, it is always skewed in their favor. We've had a lot of complaints from local innovators that my idea was stolen. And unfortunately, it's because we have not developed a culture of looking at the business side of things. Of course, we are growing with time, and we have a few companies that have been able to cross into the profitability margin, but it's an area that still requires a lot of addressing.
All right. And do you think that maybe these tech giants are afraid that when we realize our potential as a country, we might be such a formidable threat in terms of their business, how they're prospering, we will be such formidable competitors in our own local market?
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Because in technology, you don't have giants. Because at any one time, a giant rises.
Yeah.
So you cannot say that maybe one big company is fearing another big company rising, or one big company is fearing another idea coming up.
Okay.
We don't have monopoly of idea. And you cannot tell where the idea will reach, or the size of the idea. The only thing I say that, as long as you start, that's the whole key thing.
Yeah.
And one thing I can tell the problem we have with the youth is that they are waiting for money to get money and then start.
Yes.
Instead of starting, and then you get money as the reward. That is if it has to come. And then there is the other issue of correction of resources. You know something, I know something. When we correct ourselves together, we come up with something. When we were starting our app, we had very, very little indeed. Indeed, we started at about 15,000. And it was given somewhere by my wife, I think, Chama, you know. And the whole thing started. And she had the idea. Chama. So the whole thing started. I got one of my guys as the developer. I was there as the developer. So within a whole week, we were somewhere. Then the next thing we patented. So from there, now already you have started. So rising becomes very easy. So that when I come to you and I tell you that I have this idea, I have something to show you. It's not an idea. It's no longer an idea. It's something implemented.
Right.
So even if you have to chip in, you are chipping on something which is already moving.
No. So that brings me to the whole aspect, financing in terms of even looking for an investor where, just as you said, some wait for money instead of, starting first with the idea with what you have and then presenting it to someone, pitching it to an investor, a potential investor for financing. Now, what do you feel our youth need to do more, especially because, they are the cream as of the nation as we speak, and they are the brightest of ideas, but they don't know how to package them and look for financing for that matter for these tech innovations.
I want to encourage the youth that when you're looking at issues of putting your idea or your concept out there in the market, you really have to conceptualize the idea very well and ensure that you're focusing on the need. And if most investors may not really come when you're still on the conceptual idea. They want something, that product that is actually meeting their needs. So I would look at a situation where you partner more. If you're youth, you look for partnerships within the level where either with a company or with a venture that is looking for a solution. And perhaps looking for funding should come in when the product has already been conceptualized. So such that you don't look for funding before a product has come out, because any person who is looking to fund always assesses the risk. Suppose that product you have does not take off, or suppose you inject in money and tomorrow you disappear. Or also on the other end, you find also the youth get scared sometimes to express the idea they have for fear of, somebody taking away. We've had stories where, an idea is conceptualized by somebody else and somebody picks it up. So you first conceptualize the idea, patent the idea, then look for partnerships at that level. Then when you scale bigger, then you look for bigger venture capitalists now to come on board.
All right, be result-oriented,
Right.
based on your results and how this tech innovation is going to help the end user at the end of the day. And that brings me to now the quality of education in our institutions of higher learning, where, these young minds are at. Is the quality good enough to help the youth think critically in terms of even knowing how to package their product and this tech idea that you may be having, so that when you get out there, you know how to go about it. You just don't sit there wondering, "Sasa nifanye nini?"
Yep. I think to some extent we have a good education system, but the onus is on the youth to propel themselves further.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in as much as we sit in class, we only learn so much from our lecturers or our teachers. The rest, you have to go out in the community, as my colleagues have said, and actually acquire this knowledge. And of course, for example, a driver can only be called a good driver after he's been tested on the road.
Yes.
No amount of training in a driving school can prepare you for the conditions that are on the roads. So I think I would challenge the youth that they have to take the bulls by the horn. But beyond that, they have to also look at opportunities for continuous professional development, because technology keeps changing
on a daily.
on a daily basis. Exactly. So they need to understand the legal and regulatory framework within which they are operating, because they're not just operating in a free space. The law can change and it can affect your business. They also need to understand, for example, changing customer needs, because for as long as you provide a solution, you'll always be in business. The moment you cease providing a solution, then you naturally get out of business. And so some of these skills can only be acquired through continuous professional development. You can learn from peers. As I said earlier, we have the Kenya Innovators Group, which brings together innovators from all walks of life, supported by the ICT Authority. We have forums like the Kenya ICT Network. We have forums like Skunkworks. We have innovation hubs in almost every town that I can think of. In Mombasa, I think we have Pwani. We have one in the Lakeside, and we have the iHubs and Nairobi Innovation Hubs, which are open to the youth to come and learn from each other. In fact, if you want to work from there, that's the only time you may be asked to pay something small. But otherwise, in terms of just coming to learn from your colleagues, and a lot of free courses are also offered in this forum. So I want to challenge the youth to really come out and take advantage of these facilities that are available to build their knowledge.
All right.
Yep.
So you take advantage of what you have, you know. And we had one guest who just told us, you know, we need to realize, especially when you're now an innovator, the difference between being in business and doing business.
Yep.
Just as he said, you can't be in business and not offering solutions. So keep learning, keep helping the end user see why they need your product when it comes to tech. Now let me come to you, Nashon, and another maybe a challenge when it comes for an innovator is the whole issue of, you know, research facilities and data. How readily available are all these resources for you as an innovator, especially in the education docket? Matters to do with education, rather.
One thing I can tell innovators, the challenge you are facing, there are others like a million people in this world facing the same challenge. One of the biggest resources we have as innovators is the internet. Because somebody has faced the same challenge somewhere
that you're going through before.
That I'm going through, and I can get a solution from there. That's one. Two, supporting my colleague here. The issue of, yes, we have iHub somewhere in Nairobi. We have in different towns. But remember when I was in college, they were not there. So we had organized ourselves as a group of 4. And then we just come up with a weird problem. This is the problem. Can we try solving this problem? So by that, you develop yourself. You know, you're trying to solve a problem. You develop yourself with what you have, the small resources you have. We have the internet. So when you come to the education sector, there are a lot of problems. And right now, wherever the solution I'm thinking I can offer, there are a lot of people thinking of offering the same. The issue is who will step in first. So most of the youths regret, or most of the innovators regret when the solution has already been found. That even me nilikuwa na hii idea, ilikuwa idea yangu, but why did you take it? So I think when you come to the education sector, as being a teacher for some few years, the thing I can encourage the teaching fraternity, we have to keep up with the technology. It's very sad when you realize that the students are ahead of you in terms of technology. So it becomes even very difficult to control them technologically. Because also, one thing I had done is I engaged my students in technology. When you go home, I know you must go to Facebook. So I'll post questions there. I'll post my assignment there. So you won't tell me that you never did. So I know that wherever you are there, you are using your positive, you are doing something positive there. So by that, I think in the education, you have a very big gap, which have to be filled in terms of technology. Yes, we have the CBC coming up, the curriculum-based,
Competency-based curriculum, yes.
And I think it has opened up something that no matter the village you are in, you have to run something. And as teachers, you have to up your game.
Yes.
You know,
All
you don't have to stay wherever you are, you know, and then expect students to come to your level.
All
They
right.
are rising, so you have to rise with them too.
All
And
right.
they have to embrace technology.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, just to add to what my colleague is saying, I think we need to reach a stage where research is part of our culture and not a subject as it is now. Because right now, in most of rather in the Kenyan community, we think of research as a subject in university,
That we'll get when we get to
secondary, or
university.
something.
Yeah.
In fact, the reason why most of our businesses don't even prosper is because we think that making a business plan is a waste of time. Developing a business plan actually takes a lot of research. When you do research, you are able to know whether your solution is viable or it's not viable.
Yeah.
So I think we need to build that research culture, and I like what my colleague has said here. I think looking back to primary school, we used to have what we call Science Congress, and we used to have amazing innovations at local level, even though probably they didn't go far, but you could find that people developed solutions that were relevant in their local communities. Right now, we have what we call these technical and vocational institutions. We really need to pay attention to them. I think I was watching a feature last year about the technical and vocational sector in Kenya, in which we have to bring in sometimes we have to bring welders from abroad, especially when we have to install factories in some of our rural areas. Yet we have people doing welding outside our gates in all those kiosks or juakali sheds that are there. So we really need to pay attention so that some of these jobs we do not need to source expensive labor
Yes.
beyond our borders.
And yes,
Yeah.
I think it needs to start with a change of mind, because people
Exactly.
perceive TVET courses as for failures.
Exactly.
People who did not do well in the academics yet. It is one of the biggest industries here in Kenya.
Yeah.
All right. Now let me quickly come to you, Gordon. In terms of infrastructure,
Yes.
how efficient was the infrastructure around you? How enabling was it to come up with this app and be able to help the end user as an innovator?
Yeah, as an what actually from our background, from how we came up with our app, is the fact that we went through as a period of challenges addressing client needs, and I think it differs slightly from where you're starting an innovation from scratch, as you're solving a problem
That is already
initially that's already
yeah.
there
Yeah.
by using technology to advance it. And when you look at that, it's more easier to look at what the client has been having a problem with and giving a solution towards that.
Yeah.
So ideally, when it comes to then issues of the infrastructure that we had, it is much easier to conceptualize. For example, if you are addressing an immediate problem, and already the information you have is already existing.
Yes.
So, and that would apply perhaps to organizations that would want to advance further
Yes.
in terms of bringing now the efficiency within their clients and consumers
Right.
to reach. Yeah.
All right, for those who are already in business.
In business,
All
yes.
right. Now, let me come to you, Barak. In terms of infrastructure, what more do you feel needs to be done to even create? Yes, there is such an enabling environment from what you're hearing for someone who's already been in business, and it goes a long way in creating more efficiency. But for those ones who are trying to start from scratch, how do you feel they can be better enabled to create that environment where they can prosper better in terms of accessing infrastructure that is needed to take off?
I think, again, as I said earlier, we are fortunate to have a very supportive policy environment. And I just want to give examples. If you look at
Briefly.
any place where a university is located, you'll notice that most of our university students are providing internet for local communities, and by extension, other services that ride on the internet.
Okay.
So I think we just need to look at local solutions to local problems. We have the Universal Access Fund. The government is now rolling out internet hotspots in remote areas in this country, very many parts. I think more than 75% of the country is already covered. And I think we need to find out, most of this information is available at the Communications Authority. We can check their website. We need to find out what what sort of infrastructure facilities are available in our neighborhood and how we can be able to take advantage of them. But otherwise, the ball is actually in the court of the youth and all of us to take advantage of the infrastructure that we have.
Okay,
Yep.
and let me just now have a quick look at what is happening on our social media. We have a few minutes to go. Maybe you could be able to address, this one maybe goes to you, Nashan. Someone is asking how they can be able to connect with the facilities that you have mentioned in terms of looking for schools. How do they go about it, and how can they be able to access you to better actually access the app in itself?
Okay, one thing we have done, we have made the app free. You have to pay nothing as a parent. Go to the Google Play Store, download the app. It's about 19 MB. So the airtime, the MB usage is Frederick. Then as a school director, you just go to the app, you'll meet, or in our website is Mashats, you'll get our contacts there. And then you can communicate to us. And then we'll just put you up there. It's almost real time. You give us information about your school, it's there in real time. And then everybody all over the world can be able to get your school, it can be able to locate your school.
All right.
As a parent, the same happens.
All right, and I believe that is what is just running on the screen.
Yes.
Just help even parents, if you're looking for a new school within your environment, you can be able to just type in. Now, do you type in the name of the school that you're looking for, or what exactly do you key in to be able to get what you need?
There are two scenarios as a parent you face. One, it's the locality. When you move to a new place, you have to know the schools in that place.
Yeah.
So you can type the name of that place and you get the schools in that place. There are the other scenario how you have the name of the school. Maybe you are being admitted to Form 1. And the only thing you have in your head is the admission letter.
Yeah.
You don't know where the school is. So you only have to type the name of that school. Then you'll get all the information about that school, including the location, the type of curriculum it has, including the uniform, the term dates, all the required about that school. You get it from that app,
Okay.
right at your the palm of your hand.
All right.
Yeah.
So that way you cut down the need to have to walk to 10 schools in a
Yeah.
day to try and see what they offer, where you can get all
Exactly.
the resources that you need.
Yeah.
All right. That is such a fantastic idea, especially for parents who are looking to get their children into new schools, transferring to high schools and all. And let me come to you, Godwin. Now, the pension app, how does it even work in the first place to just help a common Mwananchi get their phone right now and be able to understand it's not another world of complexity that you're going into?
Yeah. So we've provided two solutions for any saver want to save for pension and also look for other products with the pension industry. One is that if you have a smartphone, you could just quickly go to our website and be able to have a link into now the core app in itself and be able to log in, provide your details, and then you can start saving for retirement. And once you are enrolled in it, you can be able to view your status of your contributions or your savings, and also be able to project when you retire how much will you be able to have in retirement, because that is another issue. The other option is to go into the Android. You can download our app, Octagon Africa app, and you should be able to actually enroll and start saving through your mobile phone.
All right.
Yeah.
And all this information that our common Mwananchi is giving out is safe, is not subject to misuse or third-party usage.
Yes, ideally what one of the issues that of course we've had in the market is the issues of data protection regulations, which I think already they're in advanced economies. But for our app, and also since we are regulated by the Retirement Benefits Authority, there are certain requirements that we need to have for people to save, and that will require that the funds are safeguarded through a trust fund. So that way then it makes much easier when you start saving, and you can be sure that your funds are actually safe when you save with us.
All right.
Yep.
So you don't have to fear, oh, this is a scam. I mean, and of course, just someone here is saying, when that is Cecilia, she's actually saying, when citizens realize that the shortest way to their leaders is technology, and their problems for that matter is technology, they will then embrace that, hence the need for leaders to be at the forefront in using technology. Just echoing what you were saying, our leaders need to be at the forefront championing for these new innovations that we are seeing in the country. Now, as we bring the conversation to a close, let me start with you, Nashan. What would you like to just tell other upcoming innovators, especially the youth, who are now trying to find their way in this tech sphere and bring out these fantastic ideas that they have? What would you like to tell them in terms of being creative and creating longevity for their product?
One thing is that first thing to tell them is that there's no monopoly of idea. So even if you have an idea, somebody still have maybe the same idea close to that. So join hands together, look for somebody, even if it's your friend, share the idea with your friend.
All right.
Then start.
All right.
Start with the little resources you have.
All right. Barak, very briefly, we are completely out of time. Very briefly.
Let's be part of communities and find solutions together for our local needs.
All right.
Yes.
It starts where you are.
Exactly.
Godwin, your parting shots to our young innovators who are looking to join this technical space.
Yeah, always scout for opportunities that meets the right time in terms of the idea that you have, and you create a solution and kick it off. Somebody out there is waiting for you to help solve that problem.
All right. So just start.
Yes.
It doesn't matter how hard it is, where you are, just start, take that leap of faith, and you never know what your idea, especially in the tech field, could take you, because you know Kenya is the hub in Eastern Africa when it comes to technological innovations. So just start, and you will never know where your journey will lead you. We have been talking about new innovations in the technological space here in Kenya, and helping me with this discussion, I have been speaking with Nashon Waweru, who is the co-director of Martial Arts. Thank you very much. We also have Barak Otieno, who is an internet infrastructure specialist working with Kictanet. Thank you very much, Barak. And to my immediate left, we have Godwin Simba, who is the managing director of Octagon Pension Services. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We do hope you enjoyed and you learned a thing or two from this discussion. But be sure to join us again next week, right here on KBC Channel 1 for Take on Tech from Thursday from 7:30 all through to 8:30 p.m. My name is Jen Wamboy. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing. Have a lovely night and God bless.
Resources.